Hello, welcome back to the Bad Movie Buff podcast. As always, I'm your host, Niall Brady. What's the crack? We're on season 8, episode 5 here. And for anyone watching this and wondering why it looks like I have a Jerry curl, I forgot I had to record these intros and wash my hair, and this is what it looks like when I'm just out of the shower. You know, this is a part of behind the scenes stuff I was hoping no one would ever have to see, but you should never have to see how the sausage is made, but here we are. Anyway, long time returning guest this week. I don't know why I've started talking weird in these intros. long time returning guest this week in Newry legend Gino Lynch. Gino was the first person I ever recorded a podcast with. The first one I released was with Leanne, but the first one I ever recorded was with Gino. And he welcomed me into his house back then and was very sound and showed me how to not freak out and all. But anyway, we've been down to get him on for ages since, but just with schedule conflicts and stuff, it didn't really work for either of us until now. And he's back to talk about the return of the Pink Panther 1975 film starring Peter Sellers. Blanked a wee bit there. But I really hope he's enjoy this one. We'll be wrapping up the season soon. And here, fucking thanks for listening. Good luck. Right, that's us now. What's great?
Alright, bro.
You looked a bit scared there, but
No. Just baked out with the heat.
yeah, it's fucking
Toasted.
I'm struggling, to be honest with you. Like, it's very, very good to have you back here.
Oh, it's great. The last time we did it was just audio, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was in your gaff. You were the
Yeah.
first episode I ever recorded.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. Because
Class.
you get talking about films and all. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember shitting myself and all, being like, "Well, Gino, do you want to talk about Network then?" But no, it was class. And I love this is obviously only your second time on, but like you're choosing like some deep cut classics, which I like, because I'm never watching these type of films otherwise. Like, you know.
Yeah, you want to choose ones that you're not going to watch or that have been from another era. So if you choose something from another era, then you've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And how things are different now, how films aren't really made like that anymore. There's a lot to get into, you know, especially and even with comedy too. Like how times change, how something like that wouldn't get made now.
No, definitely
You know what I
not. Now, tell me this. So, for the listeners, stroke viewers, the film we're talking about this week is The Return of the Pink Panther, 1975, directed by Blake Edwards. So, what's like your relationship with this film then?
Well, so my uncle John, who's an actor, and he's from Newry as well, and when he was a kid, when he was younger, he started off doing impersonations.
Yeah.
So, like, when he was like 10, 11, 12, 13, he was doing impersonations, and he was doing it in the art centre and all of that. And the main one he was doing was Peter Sellers.
Oh, yeah.
From the Pink Panther, because he loved the Pink Panther movies. And then my dad really liked them as well. And I only started watching them, I would say, about 10 years ago, because they're not really on the TV and you have to go looking for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the interesting thing about the films is people think that the Pink Panther is the Pink Panther from the cartoon.
100%. That's what I have in my notes here. Like,
Yeah.
that was what I thought it was when I was younger. Like,
so there was a spin-off cartoon called The Pink Panther, and the Pink Panther was running about, but it was just a spin-off from the films.
yeah.
So the films always opened with a cartoon that was just a fun way to show all the credits.
Yeah.
And it was the actual, it was a Pink Panther animated, walking around and doing silly things, and then a cartoon of Inspector Clouseau trying to, find the Pink Panther, the animal cartoon version of the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
So that would be the first 5 minutes of the film all the time. And then the films were so successful, they spun off the cartoons. The cartoons then were huge in the 70s and the 80s.
So the films, like, I think that's mad, like, because the films obviously came first then.
Yeah.
So, like, can you imagine, like, having a film so successful that the cartoon from your intro credits had a spin-off? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
I know, and it was very innovative at the time. Now you get into the whole, there's a lot of 360 brand, multimedia projects, video games that become films and become animations, and Mario was an example, for instance. But back then it was quite innovative to do that, to branch between the two. And the reason, so the Return of the Pink Panther is the third one in the series that stars Peter Sellers.
Oh, I thought it was the second one.
No, there's another two. There originally, so there was the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
There was, the second one was called A Shot in the Dark.
Ah, that's what I missed then.
Yes, so A Shot in the Dark is probably the best film of the series.
Oh, no way.
But Return of the Pink Panther is the funniest one of the series.
What year was Shot in the Dark then, do you know?
So the Pink Panther, I think, was mid-60s. I think it might have been 65, and then Shot in the Dark might have been 66 or 67.
So the original Pink Panther was 63.
Right, okay, 63, right.
So because obviously the way I was like researching this was I just looked at IMDb and seen Pink Panther 1963, Return of the Pink Panther 1975, and I was like, is this a fucking legacy sequel nearly? So Shot in the Dark was Peter Sellers playing
Inspector Clouseau again. Yeah.
But had it anything to do with the diamond?
No, the diamond wasn't in A Shot in the Dark. It was A Shot in the Dark, I think, was more of a murder mystery that he had to figure out in a house, which is because of my memory's quite sparse on this film, but the farce genre, generally speaking, is a lot of different characters in a house and wacky things happening in that house and lots of different rooms. The Scooby-Doo cartoons then. You know what I mean? People running in and out trying to look for each other and stuff.
Coming back the wrong way and all like that crack. Yeah,
so farce as a genre sort of died out in the 70s as a thing. But when you go back to the Pink Panther films, they're definitely some of the most popular farces of the time.
Yeah, okay.
The original Pink Panther movie, Inspector Clouseau was only like a small bit part character in it.
Oh, really?
Well, he wasn't small in it. He probably would have been the third lead in the film, maybe.
Yeah.
So the idea behind the film was that Charles Litton, who is the famous Phantom, the Phantom thief in The Return of the Pink Panther, he was in the first one.
Yeah.
But he was played by a different actor.
Yeah, he was played by. I have it down here somewhere. David Niven. Yeah, who also played. Okay, so I went into IMDb deep dive today. So, because I was looking at Peter Sellers, because I know the name, and I knew he always was Clouseau on the Pink Panther. Yeah. I think the first time I ever seen Peter Sellers' name was, I don't know if you watched the that Beatles documentary that came out a few years ago on Disney Plus. The one that Peter Jackson remade.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Get Back was it called?
Yes.
Peter Sellers was in that. In like the recording studio.
That's right.
In Abbey Road, I think it was. And I remember his name coming up and being like, oh, they've given, like it's come up a name for him. Mm-hmm. So he must be someone. Who is he? So then I looked him up. Oh, it's your man from Pink Panther. So I think that's when I first came across him. But today when I was going on IMDb, I did like a deep dive. Not a shallow enough dive, to be honest. Known for. I didn't really make it past that. But what else he was in? And he was in it's a Casino Royale. And I went, oh fuck, was he like in the original Casino Royale? And when I went into it, it turned out that he was in like a spoof James Bond movie where David Niven played James Bond. Yeah. And it was, I don't know if it was very well received because it was kind of taking the piss.
Yeah, no, it was it was a bit of a flop, and it wasn't. I think there was a bit of a fight and a bit of a debate and a bit of an ambiguity at the time of who owned the rights to James Bond. Yeah. In the sense that it didn't come from the main James Bond line of films, so it's always a quiz question, that Casino Royale thing, where a quiz question would be how many people have played James Bond, and people always miss out the Casino Royale one.
That's a pure Rookie O'Rourke trick question. Like
it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Holy fuck.
But David Niven was a big actor at the time, so when the Pink Panther came in, Peter Sellers was a big comic actor. He was huge on radio in the UK. Yeah. Huge. There was a massive radio show in the UK. Can't remember what you called it. Maybe was it the Stooges or something? Would he play a character? It was a massive radio show that he did, and he became very big. Now, when they went into the Pink Panther, the lead was David Niven, but when they started to make it, Blake Edwards started to realise the real star of the show here is Inspector Clouseau.
Okay. Oh, so the original Pink Panther was more about the Phantom than...
It was more about
Clouseau,
David
so-
Niven, yeah. It's
Yeah.
more about him. And he was a bigger name at the time. But Peter Sellers just outshone him in terms of the film and the performance because of how brilliant a portrayal of the character was. So Sellers plays a really cartoon version of Inspector Morse, doesn't he? Or, you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes. He plays like a spoof version of Sherlock Holmes,
The hat and all.
with the hat and the magnifying glass and all that sort of thing. So at the time, it sort of created this new genre that we've seen tons of films. You know, the spoof detective story, like Inspector Gadget, the cartoons, is purely come from the Pink Panther films. Like,
right enough, yeah.
well, like Johnny English, all that sort of stuff.
Inspector Gadget actually looks a bit like the cartoon Clouseau as well.
Yeah,
now
yeah.
that you think about it, like
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, the Pink Panther launched Peter Sellers, and also around the same time he done Doctor Strangelove with Stanley Kubrick.
yeah,
So Stanley Kubrick's regarded as one of the great filmmakers in history. He's difficult to work with in the sense that he was a real perfectionist. You know, he put a tremendous amount of work into his films and went into tremendous detail. But Peter Sellers done a film with him in the early 60s called Lolita, and then in Doctor Strangelove he played 3 different characters.
okay,
And it was a black and white comedy, and it was a satire on the Cold War. So it was a Cold War room, and
it's like the War Room, isn't it?
The War
It's,
Room, yes.
Again, a classic I've never seen, but I know
Yes.
of it. Like, you know,
so Stanley Kubrick loved Peter Sellers, but Peter Sellers was very difficult to work with. So Stanley Kubrick knew the brilliance he was getting, even though there was tremendous drawbacks working with him,
yeah,
because he was notoriously very difficult to work with. So after the Pink Panther film, David Niven and Sellers, I don't think, got on with each other. So they wanted to bring back the Peter Sellers character.
yeah.
So The Shot in the Dark was a new story.
Okay.
You know, to take Peter Sellers into to bring back Inspector Clouseau.
yeah.
Now the mad wacky accent he does in the Return of the Pink Panther, he didn't do them in the first 2 films.
did he
Really,
not?
no,
I loved it. But
yeah, it's brilliant, wasn't it? So Sellers then, after A Shot in the Dark, went off to do lots of different films, and it was just flop in the 70s, flop, to the point where nobody would work with him anymore. So this for him was a massive comeback.
Yeah, I actually read a thing. I didn't actually write it down, but what I was reading today, whatever studio it was that did the original Pink Panther didn't want to do another one because they didn't see the value in it, because Peter Sellers' kind of value had gone down so much, so they ended up passing it over to MGM, I think it was, that then took it on.
That sounds right.
That would do it.
Yeah.
And essentially because that's like the only film that the original studio ended up buying back the rights after the success of it, and then did the sequels. There was like another 2 or 3 after Return of the Pink Panther.
Yeah, Return of the Pink Panther. There was another 2 with Peter Sellers, and then there was another one after that had Inspector Clouseau in it.
Yeah.
But it was just a compilation of outtakes from all the other films.
Okay.
So they were trying to track him down, and they were just losing lots of which was quite a, you know,
money grab. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But so essentially that was the crack then. So then I was reading, apparently, like there was like a phase there where if you're buying, like, because they obviously then ended up remaking them with Steve Martin as Clouseau, was it?
That's right. Yeah.
If you bought the box set of it always included the Return of the Pink Panther, because it was owned by the same studio that did the Steve Martin remakes as well.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a weird copyright thing, like.
Yeah, because it's the Return of the Pink Panther was always the hardest one to get, and before the streaming days. You had to really try and hunt down the DVD to try and find it, whereas the other ones were a lot more easier to find, you know, whether they're on Sky or whatever, years ago now. But now that they're streaming, you sort of have to look for them and purchase them, you know. Again, you know, the style of comedy is sort of out of vogue with the politics of today a bit, you know.
We have the Spanish streaming service that had it on it.
Oh, right, okay.
It's called El Dojo Boxo. It's really good, man. You should try
Very
it.
good, very good.
But no way. Well, I'll tell you my relationship with this film,
Yeah.
because when I was younger, I just liked cartoons, and
Yeah.
I don't think I was like overly a massive fan of the Pink Panther cartoon, but I
Yeah.
knew what it was. And actually, here's your question for you before
Yeah.
I forget. Why was the Pink Panther on bags of fiberglass back in the day? Do you remember that?
I have no idea.
Do you know what I'm on about, though?
No.
See, we were getting like our attic done. You know, we use fiberglass insulation.
Right.
On the brand of the fiberglass was always like the Pink Panther being like,
I have no idea.
I remember being like, oh, is that for me? No, that's fucking insulation for the attic. Like, you know what I mean?
That is very random.
But when I was younger, I
Speaking
remember,
of copyright, there could be a wee lawsuit coming now.
either that or it was just the weirdest fucking purchase of rights ever. Like, oh yeah, you only use
The
this
weirdest bit of merchandise you've ever seen in your life.
strange. Was he on pink wafers as well? The biscuits.
There was, yeah, they were a Pink Panther thing.
Yeah. Which is mad now, like the reach. Most kids these days, probably even under the age of 25, don't even know what the Pink Panther is. Like.
No.
But yeah, when I was younger, I used to go through the TV guide, and whatever TV guide we bought, it always grayed out whatever films were playing that day, usually later on in the evening. And I seen I'm pretty sure it was The Return of the Pink Panther, because when I wanted to watch this last night, I was like, I fucking watched this intro before.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I stuck it on being like, where's the fucking Panther now? Like, that's
Yeah.
just some boy in a suit robbing a diamond. Like, and then just being a child, I was like, nah, I don't want to watch this. Like,
Yeah.
and it only really came back to me when I stuck this on last night. I was like,
class.
"Fuck, I think this is the same one I thought was a cartoon when I was younger." But then even last night when I was watching this for the opening credits, when the cartoon Pink Panther came on, I was like, I actually didn't know they were related in any way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then I did the whole thing, find out that it's a spin-off, which is mad.
Yeah,
Really, like,
yeah. And the Pink Panther is the diamond in the show. So that's why it's called the Pink Panther, because it's about a diamond that's called the Pink Panther. And when you hold the diamond up to light, you see an image of a panther a Pink Panther in the diamond.
Yeah.
But the cartoons were like back then. Cartoon title credits were used a lot. The cartoons were very big then, and even this came out in the 70s. But the original would have been, what do you say, 63?
63, yeah.
So that's when the cartoon was a start there. But cinemas years ago, even when you go into the 50s, 40s, 50s, used to run cartoons in the theaters all the time.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, like the Looney Tunes cartoons used to run. Because TVs weren't.
As prevalent, like, I suppose.
TV now it's phones and everything. But like if you had a TV set in your house in the 1960s, it was a big deal. Like,
yeah, that's cool. Like,
yeah.
I was just think the Back to the Future. It's like,
I just thought of that too when he said that. How weird is that?
It's like, I've seen this one before, and then he says something about having two TVs. Like, two TVs? What are you, rich or something? Yeah.
Don't listen to him. Nobody's got two TVs.
Yeah, it's so good. Like,
yeah.
Now in the opening, well, firstly, immediately the score when it hit me, I was
it's
like,
class.
has to be one of the most iconic scores of all time.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
There's not a child in the world that isn't learning that as like the first tune they ever played in the saxophone. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's obviously first conceived in 63 has had legs to the point where I'd say most people in the world would recognize it just from the classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in the opening credits, it came up. So it was Richard Williams' studio that did the animation for the Pink Panther in the opening credits. Now, I don't know whether he did the original. I forgot to look into that, but I did a bit of a dive on Richard Williams. Then he has won an Oscar for animation direction, a really famous film. Maybe any guesses what it would be?
Ooh.
Sorry, I think, see just the way you're holding that, I think there's a bit of crackling there. If you could just...
That better?
Yeah, I think, it must just be that, 100%.
That better?
Yeah, I think you're just fucking with the cable or something.
Cool.
It's not good enough, Gino. No, sorry, so he is won an Oscar for animation direction in, I'm going to say, the 80s. And it's a very famous film. And if I give you even slightly one more detail about it, it's too obvious.
Right. Haven't a clue.
Okay, well, I'll give you the detail then. It's not fully animated.
Oh, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah. So he won an Oscar for directing all the animation.
Yeah, it was amazing. It still looks great today. All that stuff. Yeah.
And there was some weird. I definitely spoke about it in the podcast before. It might have even been with you, but there was some weird, very delicate contract in place for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because it was probably the only time in history that it featured Warner Brothers characters on screen with Disney characters.
Yes.
So like Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse were on screen together.
Yes.
I actually remember the exact scene. It's when they're like parachuting down, but there was like a clause in the contract where one character couldn't have more lines than the other one, so it had to be like split exactly 50-50, like, or otherwise one of the studios would have pulled out. Like,
wow,
isn't that cool? Like,
that's mental.
Yeah. But yeah, so opening scene, as you've been on the podcast before, I just make wee notes while I'm watching it. For anyone that is watching or listening, it is the hottest day of the year right now. Like, where like this page is sticking to my leg. Like, but it was equally as hot yesterday when I was watching this, blinds closed and all. The opening scene, I couldn't see a fucking thing what was going on when the diamond was being stolen, because the sunlight.
Oh, right,
was the TV. I was just watching myself on the couch sweating, and then when it finally like cut the what do you call him? Sorry. Chief Inspector Charles Dreyfus, when it finally cuts to him like at the desk in broad daylight, I was like, thank God I can actually see what the fuck's going on in this. Like, but the opening kind of introduction to Peter Sellers, Jacques Clouseau, or how do you pronounce it? Jacques Cousteau, is it Clouseau?
Yeah.
The bit where he goes up to your boy playing the accordion with the monkey, like, get a good few laughs out of it, like, when your man's like, oh no, like, I'm just a musician. He's like, the monkey is the businessman.
No, it's probably the best sequence in the whole film, I would say. The introduction to Peter Sellers in that sequence is fantastic. And it's a great introduction to the character. Yeah, and for the people even that's seen the earlier ones, this is 10 years later. It's a good reintroduction to him.
I didn't know he was going to be a dopey bastard.
Until
this, and then I was like, he hits himself in the eye immediately with his belly club, like, and So then he's having this conversation, but your man turns out he's blind and all this, but it never explains why there's a boy just sitting on the street with a monkey. It's not like maybe something they used to do back in the day in Paris.
Well, like, no, he was the watch-out guy for the bank robbers.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was all an act.
That was clever. That was a good twist.
It was all an act. That sequence is fantastic. So that sequence is where I sort of got the idea from. Remember the Taxi Joe series I did? Yeah. In episode 6, do you remember I had Charlie Lawson in the yoke? Yeah, with the airplane and all. Yeah, and we go to the bank and he robs a bank and I don't know he's robbed the bank. Oh, yeah. And I take him to the getaway. So that was the inspiration for that. Yeah. Clouseau walks in. He's homing in on a guy that's playing an instrument and he's begging on the street. Yeah. And he's got a pet monkey beside him. And Clouseau's saying, "You've got no license, it's illegal to beg on the street unless you have a license to play music." And whilst he's having this conversation with him, a bank's getting robbed in the background.
Right, yeah. And they drop something.
So they run out of the bank. The bell's going. They run out of the bank, and somebody drops something. So Clouseau lifts the money up and gives it to the man, and they get into the getaway car, and the getaway car drives off. Yeah. And then the bank manager comes out with a gun to shoot them, and Clouseau hits him on a club with the back of the head.
Unreal, but
which is fantastic. And then the next scene is when he's with his superior. Yeah. Inspector Dreyfus, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Yes. I'll actually go through the cast real quick here because I've it written down. So obviously, as I said, we've got Peter Sellers playing Inspector Jacques Clouseau, and then you got Christopher Plummer in there as Sir Charles Lytton, Catherine Schell as Lady Claudine Lytton, Herbert Lamb as Chief Inspector Charles Dreyfus, Peter Orne as Colonel Sharkey, and Bert Kwok as Cato Fong. So then the scene he goes into the superior, and I think the running joke about how much Chief Inspector Charles Dreyfus hates him is so funny. Like, but when he goes in there and he's like, "What have you done? Like, you fucking pretty much made this bank robbery happen." And he he goes to shoot him, was it? And then it turns out that the gun is like a lighter.
Yes. He's got two guns.
Yeah.
One's a proper gun and one's a lighter. And, he keeps getting them mixed up. So, he takes the gun out and, shoots his head when he wants to light the cigarette. And then he goes to shoot Clouseau.
Yeah.
And it's the lighter one.
Yeah.
And he's the lighter. Clouseau picks up a cigar and lights the cigar.
The line he says there, he's like, "Oh yeah, I observed that was a lighter. Very cool trick," and then just whips out a cigarette so quickly. Like,
yeah, it's brilliant. But there's a class line in that where Clouseau says to Dreyfus, Dreyfus says, what were you doing wasting your time with this beggar? He was the lookout man for the bank robbers. Yeah. And then Clouseau goes, how could a blind man be a lookout guy for bank robbers?
That's right.
And then Dreyfus comes back and goes, well, how can an idiot be a police officer? And then Clouseau goes, well, he just enrolls and then
he passes the test. Yeah.
So the brilliance of, and the character of Inspector Clouseau was a big influence in the Taxi Joe character in this web series I did, where he was an idiot, but he's in the right place at the right time, and you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So, huge influence on him. Even the bits when I'm spying on the cops and all, if the binoculars out and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So all of that was like, it's huge influence, and Sellers' performance is just it's a bit like, if you've never seen Peter Sellers before, he's a bit like a sort of a bit more of a mature version of Jim Carrey, isn't he? So if you look at Jim Carrey's when he was at his height in the 90s, it was really for children, and The Mask and Ace Ventura and all that, and Peter Sellers, a lot of it was for kids too, the Pink Panther films as an example, but adults would like it a bit more, I think. And then Doctor Strangelove obviously was targeted at adults, and
right enough,
so I think there's a wee bit of a Jim Carrey style, in the sense that whenever Peter Sellers is on screen, he just steals every scene he's in. Nobody else has a chance. Like,
yeah. I love all his wee disguises as well. Like,
disguises are class, and they expand that as it goes on. So there's the next one is the Revenge of the Pink Panther, and then I think the next one's the Pink Panther Strikes Again. Yeah. And then the last one he did before he died was the Revenge of the Pink Panther. Yeah. And the disguise thing becomes a big element throughout each film. And there's even to the point where he visits this guy that gets him all the disguises. It's a costume shop. Yeah. And he takes it very seriously, he considers himself a master of disguise, but he just puts like a fake nose on his mustache.
It's a laugh. Like, there's multiple times in this film where he puts a fake mustache on top of his real mustache. Like,
and it falls off or something.
It's so stupid.
But the characters he plays are really good. They're different. The voices are all different, and there's a sequence when he was tailing Charles Litton's wife for the whole film, effectively, who he put down was the jewel thief, and he turns up to repair the phone, and he's in the house in there. Well, what do you need to repair the phone for? But Lady Litton knows, she's one step ahead of him, because he's such an idiot. But he's in the area where he's repairing the phone, and it's just a very slapsticky, physical comedy scene, like so many in the film that is a bit lost now in films. I like comedy films where you don't get, the camera doesn't move in too close a lot of the time. Like, if you look at the way Blake Edwards directs all the Pink Panther films and the way he directs in general, he puts a lot of work into how a scene is blocked, which just means the coordination and movement of the actors in a given scene relative to where the camera position is. So a lot of the time, the camera's back a lot of the time. Yeah. And the camera will move from side to side, and there's a lot of intricate moves between in and out of doors and stuff. If you're doing that in a modern way, you would establish it with a wide, but you would start jumping into coverage, close-ups of the characters as they're talking to each other. Yeah. But what I like about trying to stay wider is you see the physicality of a comedy performance.
Yeah, it's almost like theatre as well, in a way, like, isn't it?
It's like sitcoms were like that back in them days as well. If you look at Fawlty Towers, you know, the brilliance of Basil Fawlty, a lot of it was you seen the physicality from head to toe.
Yeah.
You know, you seen, and then in the same frame, you seen his physicality and everybody's reactions around him.
Yeah.
Now you would see a close up in on whatever the comedic punchline is, and then you cut to all the reactions. I like it better when it's all in the one, so you see the contrast in the one shot. You know.
Yeah.
So the way he stages the movement's very intricate, you know, and the scenes with Kato was a prime example. You know,
Yeah.
the Kato's his assistant that lives with him and just ambushes him all the time when he comes in.
So this was my next thing, because
Yeah.
I'm assuming this was probably established in an earlier film who Kato is and the
Yeah.
relationship they have.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a clue about this, because this
Yeah.
is the only one I've seen. So when he goes in to the apartment and you can see that he suspects that someone's like going to sneak
Yeah.
up, I was like, oh, they've obviously sent like an assassin or something
Yeah.
to get him, and then Kato's in the fridge,
Yeah.
and he comes out covered in frost, like, and then they just start kicking the fuck out of each other. It's
Yeah.
like, when they kind of stopped and he's like, oh, not now, and his whole
Yeah.
trick the whole way through the movie, he'd be like, oh no, now's
Yeah.
not a good time, Kato,
Yeah.
and then Kato would turn around and he'd go, ah,
Yeah.
and like chop him. But see what I lost my mind at is the slow-mo fly kick.
Yeah,
Where he
yeah.
goes- just completely misses and sails through the air and completely wrecks his whole gaff. Like,
And the noise he makes when he's flying, he's going,
yeah, it's so good. Like, there were some lines that you just wouldn't hear as
No.
well. Like, I actually wrote it down there. So I wrote, "Who the fuck is this Asian lad?" And he obviously figured out that
Yeah.
soon after. But then he's like, "Oh, I hope you're not too badly hurt, my yellow friend."
Yeah.
And he says that like 2 or 3 times. You're
It's
like,
throughout the
"Fucking
film.
hell."
Yeah, and you're watching, you're like, but the thing is, and I think people are becoming more sensible now to this sort of thing.
Yeah.
In
That
the
was a
sense
different
that-
time. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in the sense that you should never judge the standards of years ago by today's
oh
standards.
yeah, 100%.
You know, people are educated better now, and you know, you're just not going to get, you're not going to get lines like that are trying to make people laugh.
Yeah.
There's nothing funny about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, in the 70s was different. Just was. And
Yeah.
now, for people to get in their moral high horse and say, oh, I wouldn't have been like that in the 70s, the culture's different, the
Yeah.
education's different, everything's different, you know?
100%.
So there's a couple of lines in there like that again, and that's probably why you don't see it much, you know.
Yeah.
And comedies, a lot of comedies like that, where sometimes it just doesn't fit with the time.
Yeah.
Another example of that would be like Men Behaving Badly.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It just would not fit in today's world. Do you know what I mean?
Would you say Men Behaving Badly is the top TV theme tune of all time?
It's brilliant,
It's
isn't
so
it?
good. Like,
It's-
see that Crystal Maze, and there's a few other ones. Antiques Roadshow, shows I've barely watched, always stuck in my head. Like,
Well, the 80s and 90s was just amazing for theme tunes
Yeah.
in general. Like, do you remember even the cartoons and stuff?
Yeah.
The theme tunes were just incredible. Like the
Even
Turtles and
fucking Animal Hospital, like,
Thunderhawks, Thundercats and all. Animal House, yeah. The saxophone.
saxophone, like,
Like, who played that?
I know.
Their cheeks must have been going,
But so Men Behaving Badly was saxophone as well, actually, wasn't it?
yeah, it was, yeah, a bit more jazzy.
It was so good, but
But yeah, you're 100% right. And when you hear it now, you're just like, you know, we could have really done without that.
Yeah.
It's just not funny. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But again, different. It was a different time. It was, and you know, that's where you see comedy dying out. And but the thing about comedy too is, especially see now, and a reason why comedy films have died a lot, you know what I mean, compared to, you know, when we were growing up, 90s, 2000s, you'd all the, you know, Ben Stiller comedies, Bill Murray, and all these massive comedy actors.
yeah,
Sort of dead a bit now, you know. Sitcoms as well. Sitcoms are huge.
yeah,
The thing about great comedy is you have to push boundaries, but in this day and age, it's a balancing act, and everybody's afraid to push boundaries
Yeah.
because they're afraid of offending somebody. But you know, finding that balancing act is very tricky in comedy now.
yeah,
You know, and then advertisers wouldn't want to get involved with certain things if people found it offensive, and
yeah,
brands will drop out and all that sort of thing. So you're in a time where you have to navigate all that stuff, and you have to a big part of it too is where are you pointing the finger at in terms of the joke?
Yeah.
Like, so what you're looking at there with Peter Sellers was that's not funny because of where the finger's pointed at for the joke.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when we made the Taxi Joe episode we made with the priest, me and the priest in the car.
Yeah.
And I am a Catholic, but I'm a Catholic because I say I'm a Catholic. Taxi Joe's not a proper, you know what I mean? Whereas he's in a car with a...
Was it Donald O'Hanlon played
yes,
the priest?
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
And the jokes, it's not pointing the finger at religion.
Yeah.
It's pointing the finger at people's perception of religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where I found where the comedy lives.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean? So in this day and age, there's a lot of thought goes into all of that, you know, that comedy in the 70s, 60s, a lot of the time could have been very crass and then it just dies, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many sitcoms in the 70s that you never see now and they'll never hear them, you know?
Yeah. I think especially a modern comedy, like there's always the question, like as you said, who you're pointing the finger to, like don't be punching down essentially. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think that's definitely a big part of modern comedy anyway. Like, but there is like, can you name, like, say in the last 5 years any modern comedies that you've really loved?
Off the top of my head,
I think nearly horror comedy is probably the number one at the moment, like, you know. But
the thing what you're getting with comedy now is it's the amalgamation of multiple genres, you know.
Yeah, it has to be.
You're getting comedy combined with other things. Horror, for example, you say horror's really hot at the minute.
Yeah,
super hot, and comedy horror works. You know, does, you know, in terms of an audience, and then like things like say the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
They'll use a lot of comedy story structures in a lot of their work, but it's combined with lots of other things.
Yeah.
Like they'll use body picture elements, you know, for Iron Man and Spider-Man, and they use romantic comedy elements for the Hulk and his love interest, and so that they amalgamate all those different genres, you know. Straight up comedies, it's hard to think of ones that you go wow recently. Do you know what I mean?
I think my favourite probably in the last, well, maybe not 5 years, but did you ever see that one Game Night with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams?
Right, okay. So I haven't seen that.
There's like a directing duo. I really should know their name, but they've done the start. I think their first big one was the remake of Vacation, like, you know, National Lampoon's Vacation.
Oh right, yes,
with Ed Helms, and you know, comedy remake. You're not expecting much. Don't remember the last time I've laughed that much at a film, right? Mm-hmm. And then they went on and did Game Night, and it's essentially like Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams, a few other ones are having like a game night in the house. One of them hires like someone to kidnap one of them as like part of the game to figure out like murder mystery where they went, but it turns out that it actually was like Russian gangsters or something kidnapping them. And then their most recent film was the latest Dungeons and Dragons. It was actually filmed over here.
Oh right, yes. Have
you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
It's hilarious.
I hear it's great. I actually worked on it for a short period of time.
Did you?
Yeah. So I must watch it.
Yeah. So it's that they're the same. They've actually got a new film out now. Just they released a trailer yesterday. I forget the name of it, but it's Kenneth Branagh and Ryan Reynolds. It's like an action comedy type thing as well. So hopefully that's going to be as good. Like, but I think they're probably making the funniest films at the moment. Yeah,
action comedy is another one that was very popular recently, and you know those cop movies and stuff. A lot of Will Ferrell stuff, you know. But he, you know, again, he hasn't had the biggest hits of his career, let's say, in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence is very good. You know, she's in a lot of. She's very talented as a comedy actress. I think Emily Blunt's actually very underrated comedically as well. She done something there with I keep forgetting the names of these things, but she done a thing with Ryan Gosling. She was brilliant in it.
Yeah.
And it was a spoof on filmmaking, you know.
Okay.
And she was hilarious in it, really good.
Yeah,
she's super talented. The one with Jennifer Lawrence was that sticks in my mind was it was a romantic comedy. I can't remember the name of the thing.
I know when is it the one where she gets in the raw on the beach and starts kicking the fuck out of a load of people?
I think so. She dates a fella because the parents of the fella
pay her.
Yeah. That's really good. I can't remember the name of it though.
I really liked it actually.
She's phenomenal in it.
Yeah. Oh god, that's gonna actually annoy me. But I know exactly. I watched it not too long ago, and of course, the first thing that popped in my head, she gets in the nip and that.
Does she?
Yeah. That's gonna wreck my head. It'll pop into my mind before we
at
stop.
some point. But yeah, like as I said, comedy's changed so much. Blake Edwards as a director and the way he makes comedy, it's things aren't done like that anymore. But there's a funny thing, right? About satire is a prime example of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's this thing about where people would suggest, is satire relevant or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this current day and age. And I would call it the South Park litmus test, right?
If South Park can make it funny,
if South Park is relevant,
yeah,
satire's relevant.
Okay, yeah.
When South Park's not relevant, satire's not relevant. If that makes sense. So you remember when Trump got in the first time?
Yeah.
He was a buffoon, and then you remember when he was doing the COVID things every night?
Yeah.
I was watching them every night because they were hilarious.
Was he saying you had to inject bleach into you and all?
Jack Bleach, but he was standing there, hadn't a clue what he was talking about, knew nothing about COVID, but just tried to wing it every night, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So in his first term, he was a buffoon, and it was really funny.
Yeah.
Now the reason why satire wasn't relevant then, and Boris Johnson was the equivalent over here.
Yeah.
The reason why satire wasn't relevant was because the real thing was funnier than the satire.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing what's changed it all around now is the real thing isn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
Politics isn't funny anymore.
No,
people
100%.
are really struggling. The world's not a happy place. The UK is not a happy place. America's not a happy place. Very divided, very polarized. And the last series of South Park was probably their best season in 15 years, maybe.
Yeah, really.
So they done the whole season on Trump.
Yeah.
And the reason why it worked, they've done Trump before and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But the reason why it works is because of how much people are pissed off and annoyed with politics.
Yeah.
And how dangerous politics is now. And that's the time when satire becomes...
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Becomes people's escape from
reality.
Yeah. Whereas 10 years ago, the reality was the comedy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I remember thinking to myself when Trump got in for a second term, going, fuck, obviously wasn't, for it, but I was like, at least there'd be a bit of crack, in terms of just what you were saying, him coming out real stupid.
Yeah.
And then second term was just, there's no crack about it.
No.
It's just dark as fuck, it's so grim,
It is grim.
But I tell you what I loved in this film as well is see when Clouseau turns up to the scene of the crime to do his investigations, and it just becomes apparent to the security guards that this fella's a fucking dopey bastard.
Yeah.
He's walking in, the door keeps closing behind him. Turn it off or whatever.
Yeah.
But when he finds the Phantom's tools, and he goes to... He's like messing about with him, and then he picks up his magnifying glass, and then the glass falls out of his magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Just the look he gives when he turns around to try not to look like an idiot.
Yeah, but you're 100% right there. This is the brilliance of Peter Sellers too. The way he tries, he walks in and he's got this really high opinion of himself as a detective. He thinks he's the best detective in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's an absolute idiot and he's dreadful at his job, but he has got this arrogant sort of, he looks at people like that and he's like, he looks down his nose at people and he's a buffoon. And those wee mannerisms are what take him to the very highest level of comedy performance, you know. And the physicality of what the set pieces that they do, again, you don't see that much now. And that was like a hark back to the days of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton.
I was thinking that as well.
You know that physicality where you're still in the 1970s, 60s, 70s then. You're only 30, 40 years into sound pictures. So the craft of visual comedy storytelling was still there. It's lost now, pretty much. Gone. In film, comedies now are, you do get physical moments, but it's all the dialogue and jokes and one-liners and stuff.
Yeah.
And there isn't as much thought put into the physical comedy set pieces.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright's very good at it.
I was just about to say
He's
that.
very good at
There's
it.
a really good video essay. It's either Every Frame of Painting or The Nerd Writer. I always get them two confused. Both brilliant YouTubers. And he has like a video essay on how Edgar Wright's kind of like the last almost to do it. And basically his whole thing, it's like a 10-minute video, definitely check it out, is like the likes of like Will Ferrell and all. It's all improvisational comedy where it's like they'll roll the cameras. They'll say if you that was a funny one, we'll keep that one. Whereas like Edgar Wright puts so much thought in and I think the scene that they use is a scene from Hot Fuzz where Sergeant Angel is moving out of the country, and the way they do the gag is every time it gets a bit further, the signal on his phone goes down to show how out of like the city he is, which is just really wee interesting things like that. But you just don't get it as much anymore.
Well, the brilliant thing about Edgar Wright's directing is when you see that that visual comedy, exactly what you were saying. I know what you're talking about. That was a pure montage from trains and all that sort of stuff, and he uses like signs and all to subvert what's actually happening at the moment. Yeah. Now, if you read that on a page, you'd be like, but when he tells that joke visually, you're going, this is a filmmaker that knows what he's doing, in the sense that he's visually telling you this story. It's not just a load of dialogue on a page and you get two people talking and then you go to the next scene. Do you know what I mean? There's tremendous thought put into all of those little shots in that montage, how they're cut. Another one's like Shaun of the Dead, where he does the two scenes exactly the same. So he does the opening scene, and then he does the post-apocalypse scene straight after it, and it's the exact same shots, but you see the difference in the two. And
Sean doesn't know what's going on around him, which is great.
And a great thing with great filmmakers comedically can do, they do all sorts of little tricks, but one of them would be to have the audience ahead of the lead character, and that's what makes the audience laugh at the lead character, you know? And that's what he did at Shaun of the Dead, where you're constantly, the audience knows what's going on here, you know, and he's just going to get the paper or or a box of Cocoa Pops, whatever he's doing with his mate. Like
there's another really good one from The World's End, and where it's like, what do you call them, like smash cuts or something, or like really violent like cuts between like what's happening. It's when they were doing the first pub, and it's the moment to show that Simon Pegg's character has just figured out that Nick Frost's character no longer drinks, and it's like a smash cut of like 6 pints being poured, but the last pint is a pint of water, and when the pint of water pulls back, it's just his face just raging the fact that his mate's drinking a pint of water, like, you know. But so some of the physical comedy in that scene where he's doing the investigation of the crime scene's unbelievable, but the bit where he's fucking about with one of the Phantom's tools and it falls and smashes him in the nuts, and then he notices the glove left on the plinth, and he goes, his calling card, because his voice is all high pitched because he just nodded himself. Like, it's so good. Like, but I think that was probably that investigation of the crime scene was probably one of my favorite scenes in it. I actually found, to be completely honest with you, I really liked the film, but I found it more and more painful to watch him wreck these lovely rooms a wee bit going through. I was like, stop it, like, you know.
I mean, there's lots of it that's dated, and you know, plot wise, it's late in the sense, you know what I mean, like, but you're watching it for him, really.
Absolutely.
You know, you're watching it where you're going, this guy was a master at what he did. Doctor Strangelove's another one where he plays 3 characters and he's just completely exceptional at what he did. But you know, there's the Return of the Pink Panther is just tons of set pieces of Peter Sellers, isn't there?
My favorite running gag for Peter Sellers the whole way through was his mispronunciation of words.
And
people always picking up on it. Like the bit where he goes in as the telephone repairman that we talked about earlier, and he keeps saying like, "I'm here to repair your phone," and they're like, "Our phone?" And he's like, "That's what I said, your phone." I don't know why I sounded Scottish there, like, but and what really made me laugh was, so he actually first tries to infiltrate them as a swimming pool cleaner in the wee van, and then crashes that van into the swimming pool that he's meant to be cleaning. But did you notice the name of the company on the pool cleaner?
Was it Nice something, was it?
That was the telephone repair company. But the pool cleaning company was Acme.
Right.
Yes, which is like, you know, the famous like Looney Tunes company that always fucking explodes and blows up and all. Like.
Well, this is the closest film you'll get to a real life like Looney Tunes style cartoon wacky type of violence, isn't it? Like if somebody gets blown up, they'll come out and their face will all be black and their hair will be
it actually happened twice.
I think a couple of times.
The bit where your boy goes
he gets handed a bomb. He gets handed a bomb, and the bomb's a big globe with a big fuse coming out of it that's going, you know, that you would see in a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Right enough.
So
I think actually Warner Brothers might have co-produced this as well. If Acme's in it, I have a feeling. Yeah.
I think that's the studio that done this one.
Yeah, okay.
And then was it MGM done the other ones?
I might have got that the wrong way around then.
Yeah.
But here, it's bad movie buff for a reason, like, you know. I'm still leaning on that crutch, like. But yeah, so then I laughed out loud again the second time when he is in the phone repair van and then someone cut his brakes again and he goes right into the pool again while they're still lifting out the Acme pool cleaning van. Like, I thought that was great. Like.
And the reveal of who actually was trying to kill him's good too. You know, it works from the start of the show and then to the end. Do you know what I mean?
Who? Oh, it was the inspector the whole time,
Dreyfus,
was it?
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on that until... I'm a stupid bastard. Yeah. Obviously, I knew it was him at the end, but I never picked up that would have been him handing him the bomb.
The whole way he was trying to... But Dreyfus is in... I think he's in the other two films as well.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of it, there's the whole... It's almost like a sequel bait thing. Him, like, being like... I will get revenge on you, Clouseau. Like, so he's obviously...
So the next one starts in the lunatic asylum.
Oh, no way.
Peter Sellers comes and visits him.
Yeah.
Clouseau and visits him.
Oh, okay.
And because Clouseau thinks he's his friend, you know. So there's loads of you can imagine slapstick comedy stuff happening in the mental institution, but it starts getting really wacky. See when you go into the fifth one, it starts going bananas. Like,
fair enough, in a good way.
Yeah, I mean. The and this is a thing where if you're making comedy or you watch a comedy or whatever, it's like when you watch a comedy that's safe or bland, it's like if you're going to go ham it up, push it to the edges, go you know, properly go for it, you know what I mean? And that's what they've done. It's effectively a live version of a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know,
one of my favorite quotes from this is actually from Charles Dreyfus himself, when he finds out that Clouseau was following the wife and not the Phantom itself, and he's like, oh, they're in the Swiss Alps and like a nice skiing resort, and he's like, oh, well, tonight it would be a beautiful ski resort, but tomorrow it will be in ruins. And then his assistant's like, oh, what do you mean? And he says, compared to Clouseau, Attila the Hun was a Red Cross volunteer. I thought that was a very good quote. Like,
yeah, and then there's a whole sequence where he tries to get into Lady Lytton's room to try and find clues, and there's a budgie in the cage.
Yeah.
So this budgie becomes the nemesis of him. He ends up, because he's using a Hoover, and he ends up sucking the budgie out of it.
As soon as he walked into that room with the Hoover and I seen the bird cage, I said, that bird's going in that fucking Hoover straight away. Like, that was a really good sequence. Swinebird, he called him.
Yeah, because then becomes a nemesis. The bird then in the next another scene then flies over the top of them and shits in his drink.
Yeah,
you know, and he goes, you're swine bird.
The bird that played the Swinebird, that was his third film he was in. The bird actor.
Oh, right.
He was in 2 Bond movies as well. He was in For Your Eyes Only and On His Majesty's Service. So.
I thought you meant there was an actor dressed up as a bird.
Yeah. No, sorry, The Living Daylights, not On His Majesty's Secret Service. But yeah, so the bird was in a load of shit back in the day. Class. But yeah, as soon as he walked in with that Hoover, I was like, oh, fuck's sake. A big industrial yoke too as well. There was actually... in around that scene, do you remember when the Hoover starts expelling stuff out of it then?
Yes.
There was originally a scene where Clouseau gets knocked out, and then Julie Andrews comes in doing a cameo as a maid and drags him out by the ankles.
Right.
They ended up cutting it on the editing floor. Like,
Oh, right, okay.
yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
No, would have been a cool one to include. Like.
And then there was a sequence towards the end. So when Clouseau is the conclusion of him hunting down who stole the Pink Panther diamond, there's as if there's a scene missing there, because it cuts straight from there into the it cuts away from Charles Litton, and then it's in Clouseau's promoted, and then you go into the mental institute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was no like. We didn't see the cops arrest the
yeah, I noticed that as well. Like,
but there's just a question mark of how did he get the diamond back?
Yeah,
you know.
Right.
And then at the end, Charles Litton goes about his business of still being a thief.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a scene missing there or something, you know.
One, I think probably my favorite run, other than his accent, one of my favorite running gags was, and I don't know whether it's maybe like a stereotype or a commentary on the people of Switzerland, that everything he said they took exactly literally. So for example, he goes to jump in the taxi and he goes, follow that car, and then the taxi driver jumps out of the car and starts legging it after the car, and then the other one was
the car.
and then when he eventually gets to the hotel, the taxi's pulling out, your man's still sprinting after him. Like,
Sellers' reaction to all that's just gold, because he's just looking around and all, you know.
And there's
fantastic
a bit where he walks into the hotel, and what you think is the boy behind the counter comes out and goes, may I take your coat? And he's like, yes. And he goes, and your gloves? And he goes, yes. And he goes, and your hat? And then he goes, yeah, of course. And then your man goes, thank you, and just walks out with his stuff. And then he jumps into a car with the coat and the hat on, just turns around and waves and drives off. Like.
And so looking at him again, you know, what's going on here type thing. There's a physical scene when he tries, you know, those rotating doors.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, and he can't get in. And I'd say at the time that would have been class, because those doors were probably a novel thing back then, you know. Yeah, that was fantastic. He couldn't get his suitcase and he couldn't get out and all that. Yeah. Fantastic.
There was an extended scene in this where it's Christopher Plummer playing Sir Charles Litton, basically trying to figure out how to get... What is the country that the Pink Panther's from again? Is it... I meant to write that down.
Is it Turkey or something? Isn't it?
It's you see, I wasn't sure.
Egypt.
I'd never heard it before, but it's like whatever city it's in. But there's a bit where he's like, an extended sequence that just kind of follows him around on his little kind of side quest of just trying to leave that country, because being in the country, he's figured out that it's his wife that has actually stolen the diamond. But it's while he was kind of doing that, he was like kind of hiding behind walls and stuff. I was like, Plummer would have been a good old Bond back in the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, but the Charles Litton character had a Bond vibe to it, and it was the same as David Niven in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, A Shot in the Dark is a much better film than The Return of the Pink Panther, but The Return of the Pink Panther, I think, is the best first one to watch.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's the funniest one. It's got all the best set pieces. It's the first time he's brought the accent in, and he's got all the mannerisms of the character down.
Yeah.
You know, and there is a running thing throughout the whole series of films with Kato, and the purpose of Kato is for his training.
Aye.
So it's for Inspector Clouseau to keep sharp as a master of martial arts type thing, and to keep him sharp when it comes to stealth and all that sort of thing, you know, so
being on his toes and all that.
Yeah, so Kato's like the guy he uses to help him train for all that type thing, and so they bump off each other in terms of Kato. Anytime Kato turns his back on him, then he chops him or hits him, you know, and he pretends that no, we can't fight anymore, and then when he turns back, he goes boom. Yeah, and that goes. You see, you know, you've more to learn, Kato. You know, which is it's a huge slapstick element of the movie, isn't it? Like,
I thought it was so satisfying. There's something so funny about it as well, which is like almost the kind of crescendo of the film when Colonel Sharkey's got the gun pointed at all three of them, and Clouseau, like thinking he's all smart, turns his back at him and goes, yes, but Colonel Sharkey, have you noticed that your fly is down? And then Colonel Sharkey goes, have you noticed that your fly is down? And then Clouseau falls for it, goes to check his fly, and then that's when the fucking chief inspector goes to shoot him, but ends up shooting Colonel Sharkey instead, therefore like resolving the entire film. I thought that was brilliant. But that's pretty much. I guess we've covered everything.
But it's something different, isn't it? You know what I mean? And that's and it's a cool thing to go back and watch something and see how different it is.
Yeah.
You know, so many of the films that you would watch these days, even the Netflix series and all, there's a similar feel to a lot of them. You know, the way they're made, the way they're shot. This is a very much a throwback. It's very different, you know. And as I said before, the physicality of the comedy is something that I think sorely lacking in films now.
Yeah.
I think, you know, comedy films could come back, you know, and you know, because things go in vogue and they come out of vogue and all that sort of thing. And I think comedy just became a bit too bland and a bit too safe. And then when you go back to watch something like that, you're just like, wow, you know, it's
Palm Springs. Have you ever seen Palm Springs?
Palm Springs.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Yeah. It's very good. It's very good. It's like a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
That's your guy keeps going back in time to try and fix it.
He's like reliving a wedding every day.
Yes.
Sorry, that just popped in my head. That was probably one of my favorite comedies of the last few years. In terms of trivia here, you know, I usually kind of bring up the trivia if it comes up in conversation throughout it, and I think we covered most of it. But one of the things that we haven't covered yet, which I thought was class, was something I never really picked up on. Could be a thing, but what do you call her? Lady like Claudine Litton. Just seems to love Clouseau in this.
The way she laughs, you know,
constantly pissing herself laughing.
And you think, I wonder, is that real? Is she just laughing at him? Is it?
That's the fun fact. Yeah,
right. Because when you're watching that, you think that.
Yeah.
You just think she's just laughing at him all the time. You know, it looks real.
She couldn't keep a straight face for filming, so they're like, we'll just make a part of her character.
Yeah.
There's a bit, and actually, one of my favorite disguises of his is when he's trying to chat her up at the bar.
And he's playing the suave type dude. Yeah. And you know what the class thing about that scene is? When he's in the nightclub, the music they're playing, it's so random. There's a guy playing a mad guitar solo.
That's right.
It's the maddest tune.
And there's just like a woman dancing next to him on stage.
And he's doing this, walking over, and then when she does the thing, she punches him.
Yeah, that's right. But the reveal of that costume, and it's like, it just shows you her, and the waiter goes, the man at the bar sent this drink over for you. And you know it's going to be Clouseau, but the camera pans over and he just turns around in this and it's just him with another mustache on, and he's like, and then he walks over and all. But there's a bit where he goes to reach his drink and slips because he's wearing like silk trousers or something, and you can see her literally going and the fact that that's real just makes it so much better.
And then she asks him to go up to her room then, and she asks him, because she knows who he is, but Clouseau thinks he's under disguise and she doesn't know.
Yeah.
And she asks him, so what do you do with yourself? What does he call himself? Guy Jean Guy or something?
Yeah, Gabois or something.
Guy Gabois, is it? She goes, what do you do with yourself? He goes, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But the way he says it, it's just so funny. You know, it's the worst answer you can go. If you're undercover, you've got to have a story there. And she goes, what do you do with yourself? A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
He also says, I come here every year for the skiing.
Yeah.
And then she goes, well, so do I. I've never seen you before. And he's like, like, you know, that's class. I was gonna say, I only have one more bit of trivia left, and it's a very depressing one to finish on, but will I hit you with it anyway?
Yes, let's go.
You Peter Orne that plays Colonel Sharkey in this, essentially the bad guy that doesn't want the diamond to be found.
Yes.
Do you know how he died in real life?
No.
He used to feed a homeless man outside his building every day, and one day the homeless man and him had a row, and the homeless man killed him and then jumped in the river and drowned himself.
What?
I don't know why I'm laughing.
Yeah, why are you laughing? That's awful.
It's just so dark. Like,
that is, whoa.
Join us next week. It's so fucking
for
grim,
more wonderful stories.
Yeah, but isn't that the most depressing fucking thing you've ever heard? Like,
awful.
Yeah, awful. Have you any more wee tidbits or favourite bits in the film before we wrap
as
up?
I said, we just to end where we started. I was talking about he was as a character massive inspiration for my uncle John, who's an actor. and he used
The
to go,
John Lynch, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah.
yeah, and he used to go around the art centre, and Sean Hollywood was a huge figure in his life, you know,
Yeah.
as he's growing up as an actor. And you imagine it's different time when he was growing up, you know, in the 70s and early 80s, and there's nothing here. You know, people talk about, oh, Newry this, and, you know, there's no in Ireland's gone to the dogs. No, go back to the Troubles, there was nothing here.
Yeah,
you
I've
know,
heard that,
and
like.
you know, all they had was the television, and they're all obsessed with it. And he just loved Peter Sellers, loved the Pink Panther movies. He had all Peter Sellers' old tapes from his old BBC radio shows and stuff. Loved them, and that's what springboarded him into the industry as an actor. Really, you know, it was the first thing that he became known for around here was his impressions of Peter Sellers, and then that grew into other things. He went on to acting school and all of that, but he had a huge impression on him. And then, you know, my dad really likes it as well, and the Pink Panther films. And then I found them 10 years ago, and they've been a huge inspiration on me, because I think as a character, I think he's just such a brilliant character that it's been a big influence on me and my work as well.
Class. Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so you were saying earlier, expect a bit more Gino original productions in the pipeline.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, the thing is, hopefully towards the end of the year, writing away in the background, but busy with work.
Yeah.
But I want to come back with stuff, but I want it to be good. I just don't want to come back with shite.
Yeah.
You know, the same amount of rubbish. So, we want to do good quality work, and you know, when Taxi Joe comes back, people, you know, enjoy it the way they enjoyed it years ago, and it's just not it's not dated, or it's not, you know, it's not a rehash of old stuff. We want to try and, you know, make it familiar, but bring it back and it to be good, you know.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, here, thanks for coming on again. But it's the longest turnaround and returning guest, I think.
Yes.
First and most recent now, but 2 years or so.
Was it 2 years we did that?
2 years, yeah.
There you go. The years just flying by, aren't they?
Will you ever bring back your own podcast, do you think?
Yes. Again, I want to do that too. I would just love to do all that and not work.
It's finding the time, like, isn't it?
It's finding the time, but the way work's going at the minute, the next 3-4 weeks, I'm gonna make time for it, you know, at the weekends and stuff, because, you know, Taxi Joe haven't done a video in 3 years. That could become 5, could become 10.
Yeah.
You know, the years are just going by.
Be a legacy sequel then.
I know, yeah, it'll be bald. And I'll actually, you know, because I used to play the character like he was older, and I'll probably be older than what. I have to try and make myself younger to play him if it gets to that stage.
Mad, yeah. Well, here, thanks again so much for coming
on.
No,
it's just great. I love coming. I love just talking about films. You know what I mean?
Crack, isn't it?
So anytime you want me on, I'd be happy to come back.
Open invite, but you're welcome anytime.
Cool.
Made me watch a few older films.
Yes.
Cheers, mate.
No worries.